Lisa Cotter, welcome back to the Katie McGrady Show.
Thanks for having me, Katie. This is so great.
It's always great to chat with you. I love it when we're able to do the video interviews because then I can share it with our friends over on Substack and across social media. Introduce yourself to the Katie McGrady audience. We've had you on a few times for a bunch of different projects. You're kind of everywhere and doing a lot of stuff. So who are you and what are you doing these days?
Who am I? Yes, so I'm Lisa Cotter. I'm a Catholic speaker and author. Been doing this, since college, right? We've been in full-time apostolic ministry, my husband and I, since then. We spent over 10 years as Focus Missionary Family. And nowadays we are working for the Hallow App. And so that is basically really outside of speaking engagements. I do a lot of women's conferences, things like that. But basically creating content for the Hallow App, both my husband and I, that's pretty much what we're doing full time these days. Although technically I am a contractor. I work by project basis, which is great because that gives me the freedom to say yes and also say no. It's great.
I love that. How did you guys land there? Because I remember you guys from the Focus world. And I think at one point I was receiving a newsletter from you guys like monthly in my inbox, or I would see it on socials. And I knew it was like, oh, the Cotters are on mission. And I think of a handful of Catholic families that I know and have met their kids and as missionary families, and that is you guys 1,000%, right? Y'all are on mission for the Lord, and Hallow is on a mission, and y'all landed there in this really cool way. Can you tell us that story and what Hallow has really meant to you guys in that mission field?
Yes. So Hallow definitely is one of those things, how we got involved in it, where we still go, how did that happen? Because we had no like real connections, right? So essentially what happened is my husband was working a job in ministry. It was wonderful, but it was really taxing on our family because he was gone. He was leaving at 7:15 in the morning, coming back at 6:15 at night. We had a new baby and we were like, this is just not sustainable. And so he started looking for remote jobs, and Hallow's all remote, which for us is a dream because we've got 4 kids ranging from sophomore in college to first grade. So he saw this job as head of content, and that is, just like a culmination of everything he's ever done in his life. This is like the perfect job for him. So he applied, and we didn't hear back for weeks and weeks. And then all of a sudden, we get this phone call, and within like 2 weeks, he got the job offer. And so he's been working in the content team. He's shifting now doing, I actually can't say, but he's got a new special project that he's working on, a new area of Hallow. We'll leave it at that. And so typically when we do mission, we're always on mission together. In fact, when my husband proposed to me, that's what he said. Will you build the church with me? Like as my wife, right? So it was like, we are going to be on mission together. So when we were in Focus, we did mission together. And here we are at Hallow doing mission together. And so right away, I was looking for, well, what could I do? How could I jump in on this mission, right? What do I love? And so this idea had come out that they were discussing about doing a Hallow trivia. And so I immediately raised my hand and said, could I be in charge of Hallow trivia?
I love it.
And they hired me for Hallow trivia. So that is actually how I really got started. I guess I had done my Feminine Genius course. I did a women's course based on my book, Reveal the Gift with Ascension. And so they knew how I work and all that kind of stuff. And so I've been writing Hallow's trivia for the last 3 years. And then now I also do the word game, which is really fun. It's kind of our version of Wordle. And then we kept getting these requests for diving more deeply into trivia. But it was a big task to take these trivia questions and go into the trivia and describe, and really get into the nitty gritty. And so I said, well, we could do one a day. And so I proposed this idea for this new show that I have on Hallow called Hallowed Be Thy Day. And we dive into one trivia question every day. And all of a sudden, here I am. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like fully part-time for Hallow now. It's great, though. I love it.
Well, I want to go back to this. I want to get into the trivia stuff because I have to tell you, we play it as a family. And I'm not always right. Like, I thought I knew all of the church trivia because, like, it's my job. But no, and it's like actually really fun to learn new things or even just to spark conversation among the dinner. We do it at dinner time. So it's like that's how we sit down, we say our grace before meals. It is the only device allowed at the table is the phone for Hallow trivia. And then Tommy and I each play the Hallow Wordle separately. We have we're millennials, so we're looking at our phones as we're getting ready for bed. And we've got like the lineup of games that we do. Wordle, Hallow Wordle. But I love this idea of going on mission together as a family. And I want to kind of dig into that. We've got a lot of listeners on the show, a lot of people who are going to watch this after the fact, who might think, well, I want to do that as a family, but like I don't work for the church or I don't work for Hallow or like we've never incorporated that into our life. And this is all you and Kevin have ever really kind of had in the the front of your minds. So what would be like your practical piece of advice for the person who hears this and is like, I want to have a missionary mindset in my family's life?
Yeah, I mean, first thing I would say is we understand we are in a privileged place to be able to do this. This is not something that is like simple to do. We've had to get really creative, and it suits both of our gifts, right? And that's not going to be the case for every couple. For some, it might be like, I'm a nurse or I'm a teacher or I'm in finance, or my husband, is a salesman, whatever it is. And so that doesn't make sense to do the full-time ministry, but I think every family can find something, some way that they give in the church where they're on mission together. And it could be as simple as we are in charge of donuts once a month after Mass. And that is our family thing that we do. We go early in the morning to pick up the donuts. We stay late after Mass to clean up. It could be we have a heart for women in I know crisis pregnancy isn't the right way to say it, but in crisis pregnancy situations, where we are going to go once a month to the pregnancy center and drop off diapers, or we're going to be in charge of that drive, whatever it is. But finding that thing that might not be your full time for your family, but where you can do something where you're giving of your time and your talent and your treasure as a family together. And, for some couples, that's doing a podcast. For some couples, that's hosting a monthly rosary night or a weekly Bible study, whatever it is. But it is so important, I think, to have something that's pointing towards Jesus that you're doing together that keeps you focused, not just going to Mass on Sunday, but as a family. We're on mission together. What's our charism? How do we live this? I just think, I don't know, for us, it's been critical.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, find the thing that your family can do within your gift, within your capacity, within your talents. I recently had to break the news to our daughter that we're not hosting our annual All Saints Day party for a very good reason. Tommy has a work thing, and we're all going with him to the work thing. And we thought surely the girls would be okay with like, this is the year we kind of just have to pivot a little bit because Daddy's got to go to New Orleans and we get to go with him and we get a family weekend. And Rose was heartbroken because all she said was, but Mom, hospitality is our thing. And she was so we were like, okay, maybe we could do like an All Souls Day party. We'll come back on Saturday and we'll do like an All Souls Day party and put skulls up and kind of figure out like praying for the dead. But when a kid even knows like what your family's thing is, I think it has a wider impact. Tell me a little bit about some of the content on Hallow, and then we'll get into Hallowed Be Thy Day and your women's course and all the other great stuff on there. But Hallow actually helps people, I think, kind of clarify the mission of their family because it helps us pray. When you open up the Hallow app, what does your routine look like? What are you using every day? Because some people might be a little overwhelmed when they first use it and they're like, what do I do?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the first thing I do with it is I just love it for the simplicity of the daily readings, the daily Mass readings.
Yes, for sure.
And if you click that Bible on the bottom, that's the first way I pray every morning is just reading the gospel and just trying to sit with it. And it's nice because I don't have to go dig for it. I don't have to search the website. I don't have to refresh the page. It's every morning when you open up the app, it's there. So that's where I started. I just read the gospel a few times. And then of course, like so many, I love Jeff Caven's daily reflections.
Yeah.
Those are great because once I've kind of sat and had my meditation time where I try to be still and be quiet, then I can like be doing the laundry, doing the dishes, driving to school, driving home from school, whatever it is. And I can listen to Jeff. That's a great one. And then, of course, I'm a challenge junkie. I mean, right now, Saints in 7 Days. I've been going through those. And I have the unique position where my husband writes a lot of the content. And so it's really fun.
Yeah.
To hear him. So he wrote David, for example. We just Saints in 7 Days. That was the first of the series. So we're talking through this how he's going, laying it out and all that. And then to get to hear it in its final form with Michael, who did a fantastic job voicing it. It's really fun. He's written Lent the last couple of years. So of course, that's such a unique thing as a wife to get to pray with my husband's meditations and thoughts and words and what he worked on. And so all of that, right? And then I kind of bounce around, sometimes I'm doing a novena. I love all the novena options that they have. Sometimes I get sucked into one of those devotionals, I'm like, oh, Daily Holy Spirit's my jam for a while, and you just kind of move around. So a lot, I use it a lot.
And there's something for everybody of really all ages. The tech savvy that can go dig around and find content from like the early days of Hallow, when we still had the faceless avatars of all the different hosts, all the way to the new stuff, the Saints in 7 Days. I was with Michael Iskander at an event, and he mentioned it to me. He was like, hey, you do stuff with Hallow. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I got to do something with it. He was so excited. He was so pumped to like reveal that. And I was like, I know, like somebody texted me about it. But I'm here with Lisa Cotter, and you're talking about all the great things the Hallow app offers. And I think this new offering of Hallowed Be Thy
Mm.
Day. There's nothing really like this. I can say selfishly I love it because I'm a history buff and we do Today in Church History from time to time here on the Katie McGrady Show. Give us kind of a background. It's a
Mm.
deep dive into a trivia question, essentially, like a fun little
Hmm.
moment. Tell us a little bit about how you are crafting the content. How long are these episodes? What is your goal when somebody listens to it? When do you want people to listen
Hmm.
to this? For the record, I find it to be a perfect on the drive to school listen with my
Hmm.
kiddos or on the way home. And I get, my nerd itch is scratched a little bit. So give us kind of the rundown of Hallowed Be Thy Day.
Yes. So it's the goal is between like 6 to 10 minutes. So it's quick, it's snappy. It actually has some intro music, so it's fun. So a lot of stuff on Hallow
Yeah.
App is like quiet, prayerful, slow, and this is a lot more quick and up tempo. And so we're hearing about families listening together. We're hearing about classrooms, even
Yeah.
junior high, high school classrooms saying, "Oh yeah, that's how we start our class. Is Hallowed be Thy Day." And so really, the idea behind it was people love trivia. They fail at it every day, just like you, right? But everybody comes back because you learn something.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea behind the day, it's really not, this hasn't been written for trivia, but at the same time, it harmonizes so well with trivia because I make sure one of the questions is connected. And so really, it's a deep dive into something going on in the church that day. So sometimes it is a liturgical feast day. Sometimes it's history. So I always start with on this day. So it might be on this day, it's the feast of
Mm-hmm.
St. Therese of Lisieux. On this day in 1582, X happened, right? And so we're diving into these different things so that we actually know our story and we know our culture. And I think that's a big thing, right? You mentioned this All Saints Day party. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, is how do we live our culture so it doesn't get lost? Because so often we are quickly replacing our culture, right? The fall is football season. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. The fall is the end of St. Michael's Lent. It's the beginning of getting ready for Hallowtide. There's
Right.
liturgical, it's the month of the Holy Rosary, right? Like we're forgetting these traditions and how to live by them. And so I want to awaken that in our lives, in our church, and in our family. So really the goal is to preserve our culture, preserve our stories, and to have a lot of fun while we do it. So I'm always looking for that fun angle. It's never like the dry, this saint was born on this day and became a member of this order and founded this and levitated. Like, no, I'm like, where's the crazy story? Where's
Mm-hmm.
the human side of this saint? Or where's the connection of this battle or this historical feast day or this church council that still affects me to this day?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And that's what we're pulling out.
And it's a great little, kind of shot in the arm. I'm going to be thinking about it and chewing on it throughout the rest of the day, but it also didn't take me an hour and a half to listen to, right? Like I think, and that's not to say that people couldn't necessarily, like you can always go find more. You can always go find a book. You can always go find a resource. You could always go find a longer YouTube video, but just that little amuse-bouche, right? That little, this is a taste. This is going to get you kind of launched into a moment in the church. So today, Friday, October the 10th, is a good one. You mentioned it before we were chatting and we were, texting back and forth. What's the teaser of Hallowed Be Thy Day that people are going to find out today?
So today is all about the Battle of Tours, which is one of those battles you've probably heard of, but you don't really know why it matters or what happened in that battle, right?
Right.
Right? And so you're like, Tours, France, okay, what's going on here? But really, it was a moment where the church stopped an invasion that could have taken over all of Europe, that could have transformed our world as we know it today. And yet there was, and I don't want to give it all away, right? Right. But it's quick, it's snappy. It's like 5 to 10 minutes that you can just dive in. And then like you said, if you want to learn more, go for it. Like you can go research the heck out of it. There's whole books on the Battle of Tours, but I spend about 5 hours per episode to give you 5 to 10 minutes of content. So you only get what you need to know and what's fun to know.
Yeah. Tell me, so I know next week, when we were texting back and forth to set this up, you were like, there's actually this really fun thing that's happening. And I know what that fun thing is because we've talked about it on our show before. I'm actually off next week, so for a couple of days, not the whole week, don't worry, people. But I think I might be missing this day because I'll be up at Steubenville with some friends of ours. So tell me what's coming next week. So when people go download the Hallow app and they're listening to Hallowed Be Thy Day, you're going to give them kind of one of the silliest and funnest things that's happened, but also kind of forgotten to history if you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, so we're actually in the midst of it right now. And years ago, yes, in 1582, these days in October, so starting on October 5th to October 14th, did not exist in much of Christendom. And it was because that was the day that the Gregorian calendar made its transition. So essentially what happened, without getting into too many of the crazy details, but there was a little bit of a miscalculation with how long a year is. And so the church
Mm.
was recognizing this, and it was messing with not only the agricultural calendar, but also the liturgical calendar, because it was drifting that start of Easter. And so they did a little something in 325 to correct that. They came up with the like liturgical equinox, which isn't actually correct. But they were like, we got to hold this here because the season was drifting. And so Pope Gregory knew that this is going to be a problem if we don't fix this. And so essentially he said, these 10 days in October just are not going to exist. And so some of the Catholic Church jumped on. Wasn't that wild? Here's what's really fun, though, is that St. Teresa of Avila died on the night that it happened.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so her feast day should be October 5th, but October 5th didn't exist. And so her feast day is October 15th. Like, isn't that
Wow.
like a way to go out?
Yeah,
I just love
like
it.
a day. It's like a birthday on a leap year. Like you don't really have a birthday. We're gonna pretend we
Yeah.
celebrate your birthday. We're gonna
Nope.
remember you died, but we're gonna do it on a day that didn't exist. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is
She went
so
to bed on
cool.
went to bed on October 4th and was dead on October 15th.
That is wild. Well, fun stuff like that is all available in the Hallow app. If folks go to hallow.com/Katie McGrady, you get a free 30 days to test it all out. Lisa, where can we follow you? I know you're posting stuff on social media about Hallowed Be Thy Day. So where can we follow you and continue to see all the fun projects you're working on?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Lisa Ann Cotter. That's Ann with no E. And that's really the only place I hang out. I have a website as well, but I don't update it. It's more just like, hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm on the website.
Here's how you can do it. Lisa Ann Cotter will post a link as well in our social media stuff. Lisa, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thanks, Katie.